যদি সবাই ফিরে যায় ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা সবাই ফিরে যায় যদি গহন পথে যাওয়ার কালে কেউ ফিরে না যায় তবে পথের কাটা তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে তুই রক্ত মাখা চরণ তলে একলা দলরে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে যদি আলো না ধরে ওরে ওরে ও ভাগা আলো না ধরে যদি ঝড় বাদলে আধার রাতে দুয়ার দেয় ঘরে তবে বজ্রানলে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে আপন বুকের পাঁজর জ্বালিয়ে নিয়ে একলা চলো রে যদি তোর ডাক শুনে কেউ না আসে তবে একলা চলো রে একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো একলা চলো রে
We are muted again. Yes. Hi guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot for joining the live stream. I need to silent my phone. Is it silent? No. Now, today we are going to do a live reaction after a long time to a video for which there have been demands from our audience for a long time now, for about 3-4 months, probably ever since the video came out. It's a video called Game Theory and Hindutva, how democracy is keeping Hindu society trapped in a Nash equilibrium. Okay, if you all have seen A Beautiful Mind by Russell Crowe, that was for us art students. That was our first brush with game theory, if at all you can call it a brush. But that's when we first heard of it. That's when we first heard of the person called John Nash. Now we obviously knew about Kevin Nash. Now we are going to do it in a weird way. I checked out the video, I think about how long is it? It's 35 minutes. I have checked out about 30 minutes of it. I have some views of mine on it, and I asked ChatGPT also to analyze the video, and I asked it to critically analyze the video, and asked for its opinions on the video as well, on whatever Ashish Dhar said. Mainly because ChatGPT is sort of an aggregate of entire academia and its consensus, all the papers or articles, essays that have ever been published on the topics that Ashish Dhar touches upon. It will be sort of a response from that academia towards Ashish Dhar's video. Now, because of that, I wanted to find out what might be the academic view on this, or academia's consensus on such views. And there I noticed that I agree with 70-75% of the things, both good and bad, ChatGPT said about Ashish Dhar. It made very fair criticisms, it made very constructive criticisms, and it made some unfair criticisms of Ashish Dhar as well, ChatGPT. So first we are going to check out what ChatGPT said about the video, and we will do that before watching the video to get a gist for those of you who don't want to stay on for the entire live stream. This will be pretty accurate gist, and not just what we think of it, and I'll point out where I disagree with ChatGPT as well. Then we will check out the video and find out what might Ashish Dhar's conception of Hindutva 1.0 versus Hindutva 2.0 be, because I think he mentioned the word at the end of the video. We obviously have a clear-cut description of what Hindutva 2.0 means, and means to me or whoever agrees with me, and should mean, and what it should mean for the country. I'm not sure if Ashish Dhar has given such a positive direction to the sentence or to the term. We have, and we will see where we have agreements or disagreements with Ashish Dhar. I don't think he gets into economics at all, so we might not have any complete agreement or disagreement on reservation, and although we know what are his views and we agree with him on that reservations are bad. Yeah, Choitali is saying that use Claude rather. Yeah, I know all of my friends in the know-how of things do recommend Claude all the time. But since my chat GPT is so well trained with me, my psyche, my everything I like, what are my views, etc. The kind of research I want when I ask it a question from the kind of sources, it's really tough to move on from this pet AI. Watch this video with Neerajatri someday. Okay, so this is what ChatGPT is saying. Okay, and those of you all who have seen the video, let me know in the comment section as we go in the live chat how much you all agree or disagree with ChatGPT. I'll go on giving my thoughts as well. And those of you all who haven't seen the video as of now, this is going to be a fun experience for you. If you know Ashish Dhar, you will know that more or less ChatGPT is correct. So Ashish Dhar is trying to combine public choice theory, Austrian economics, game theory, civilizational nationalism, behavioral economics, and anti-liberal democratic critique. Wait, I'll keep the StreamYard open here so that if something goes awry in terms of tech issues, you all can let me know in the live chat. Could you provide a link of the video? No, I'm on StreamYard. Just Google Hindutva, game theory, Ashish Dhar. Into one grand theory of and anti-liberal democratic critique into one grand theory of Indian politics. The video is rhetorically powerful because it mixes real structural problems, selectively accurate theory, emotionally resonant civilizational anxiety, and major analytical leaps that are far more debatable than he admits. Here, I completely agree with ChatGPT. There are some gaps in his linkages and rigor, but I think it's kind of conscious that he's bringing it up first and foremost for the first time. He's pioneering some ideas, and I think it's a given that he expects posterity to take it up. And he's just throwing some ideas along your way and see check them out. How do you like it? The strongest parts of the argument are not the Hindutva sections. The strongest parts are actually the institutional critiques of democratic incentives. Yes, and we agree with Ashish Dhar here absolutely. The weakest parts are where he turns descriptive strategic analysis into sweeping civilizational conclusions. Yes, there are gaps, but those linkages can be filled up later by later generations. Where the video is strongest, the critique of democratic short-termism is real. His use of democracy, the god that failed, is controversial but not entirely unserious. The central claim is that democratic politicians prioritize short-term electoral incentives over long-term civilizational planning. And this is supported by large parts of political science and public choice theory. Economists and theorists like James Buchanan, Mankar Olson, Anthony Downs have all argued that democracies often incentivize rent-seeking, populism, redistribution politics, and short election cycle thinking. So practically all the bad aspects of socialism. The point is, this is first of all correct, and I am kind of very, very pro-democracy. I'm unlike a lot of you kids from the Gen Z era. I don't jump to conclusions like democracy sucks and stuff, and autocracy zindabad. Mera dictator alag hai. Only my dictator will do the stuff I wanted to do forever and after. But even then, the critiques that you can make of democracy are the critiques you can make of socialism, and there are degrees of how socialist a country is. Places like Estonia, USA might be on one end of the spectrum. Places like India will be at another different position in the spectrum. But then, even in democracy, since you can lower the degree of socialism, therefore I do not see a problem with democracy as a whole, because it solves many other problems that other forms of government cannot solve. But even then, in democracy, if the people believe a thing in a certain way with years of discourse from the state, in academia, in mainstream media and stuff, people's minds tend to think about things in a particular kind of way. And that need not be socialist forever and after. We have pursued socialism consciously, deliberately. If we do not do that, then it won't be that way. So it's not implicitly, inherently democracy's fault that we are socialist. As for the short-termism, there I believe there is a problem that now India is better off in this situation. Bangladesh and Pakistan are further doomed in this, with politicians doing only short-termism. But with India, we notice that more often than not, we have had in the end, people in the state apparatus who have cared about the country and who have cared about the long term gains to the country. And we are surviving just because of that kind of. So that's a more serious criticism of democracy, because it's just Ram Bharose. It's just blind faith that, yeah, hopefully this guy will think about something other than the next fucking election cycle, which we saw with Mamata Banerjee. That was the worst case scenario of democracy, worst case scenario of socialism. That she just thought, no, I'll just stay in power anyhow. So whether a politician will do long termism or not, that's completely up to fate. There lies a huge problem that needs to be tweaked in democracy. Oh. Okay, continuing. This part of Dhar's analysis is substantially correct. India does often postpone judicial reform, police reform, bureaucracy reform, education reform, labor reform, while prioritizing symbolic politics and welfare announcements. That is observable reality, not propaganda, but this is also socialism, which ChatGPT won't admit. His promise delivery gap. This is Ashish Dhar's second criticism of democracy, that whatever freebies are being promised, whatever goodies are being promised to you, they aren't even reaching you as promised. His promise delivery gap point is insightful. This is one of the best sections. Modern democracies do survive partly through symbolic politics and narrative management, also known as aestheticization of power. Politicians everywhere overpromise, underdeliver, and substitute symbolism for structural transformation. This applies not just to India, but to the United States, France, United Kingdom, and most democracies. When he says democracy incentivizes cosmetic rather than structural reform, that is a legitimate institutional critique, which is why the day we were doing a live reaction to a Jayant Bhandari video, we had to agree with so many of his criticisms of the bureaucracy. We do not ignore these problems, definitely. And as for ChatGPT's use of the term cosmetic reform, we use the term band-aid reform, band-aid policy, etc. Ashish Dhar's third criticism of democracy. His game theory model of caste politics has real explanatory power. The prisoner's dilemma framework is actually reasonably well applied. The prisoner's dilemma framework will be discussed in Ashish Dhar's video itself. So if you do not know anything about it, do not worry. Ashish Dhar will explain it himself when we live react to his video. The core insight from this argument is that once one party mobilizes caste electorally, others are incentivized to do the same, or at least they are forced to, in my opinion. And this is largely true. The equilibrium logic is coherent, that someone has to reach the equilibrium, that yes, we have to be very pro this caste or that caste, or very Ambedkarite, or we have to show ourselves to be very anti-casteism, and then end up creating a quasi semi-apartheid state against Brahmins. The equilibrium logic is coherent. Using game theory language, if one party uses caste arithmetic, unilateral disarmament becomes electorally irrational. If one party does caste arithmetic and wins because of that, the other side cannot say, okay, I won't do caste politics and pray to God that I still win. There lies a huge problem. So they won't have simple blind faith on their policies, good development, Hindu unity discourse, etc. to win elections. They will like to be sure of their victory and therefore do caste politics. But we will have to just have faith that they will take into account long-term benefits and not just short-term electoral gains. Lol. This is not unique to caste. This is ChatGPT's criticism or addition to these arguments. And these are beautiful. The same dynamic exists in identity politics, race politics, sectarian politics, ethnic coalition systems worldwide. Political scientists studying Lebanon, Nigeria, Belgium, Sri Lanka have described similar equilibrium traps. This is one of the intellectually strongest sections of the video. Now, here is ChatGPT's criticisms of Ashish Dhar's arguments. Where the analysis becomes weak or misleading, now the major problems begin. He treats quote-unquote Hindu civilization as a single coherent strategic actor, which it isn't. This is the biggest flaw in the entire framework. Game theory requires clearly defined players with coherent incentives. But quote-unquote Hindus are not one unified utility maximizing block. Exactly. There lies the biggest problem with Ashish Dhar's entire argument in this video. But the point is that we can discuss that later as well. But Ashish Dhar has done a phenomenal job with this video. You can agree or disagree. I think ChatGPT is 70% accurate in its both appreciation and criticism of the video, but this is good stuff. This is good stuff. I at least had to switch on my brain to fully, I mean, listen to the video. Most things on right wing Twitter or YouTube is for passive listening. You can listen along to while working out or going somewhere, etc. This was not that sort of a video. It at least made you think. At least made me think. It at least made me reconsider some positions, and then I did not really change, but reinforced my own arguments better because of the challenge that I got from Ashish Dhar's thoughts here. And so beating that challenge out in my mind, in my head's debate against his arguments, my own arguments became stronger. And this is the main fucking thing we need in the Indian, I think, entire political discourse, not just right wing, left wing. Left wing discourse is more often than not insanely retarded as well. But kudos to Ashish Dhar for taking the conversation forward, improving the quality of discourse in Indian politics. Rajamouli teaser has a new teaser dropped. I did not know that. Holy shit. Okay. Ashish Dhar treats quote-unquote Hindu civilization as a single coherent strategic actor. This is the biggest flaw in the entire framework. Game theory requires clearly defined players with coherent incentives, that this guy has this incentive, this guy has that incentive. We do not exactly know what are the incentives for Hindu society as a whole. But quote-unquote Hindus are not one unified utility maximizing block. There are enormous divisions of caste, language, region, class, sect, ideology, urban/rural interests. Yes, real Bharat lives in villages killing mosquitoes. A Bengali Hindu and a Tamil Hindu may share civilization, but at least ChatGPT admits this in one sense, but not political incentives in another. Absolutely. This is where scholars like Christopher Jaffrello, Partho Chatterjee, Dr. Partho Chatterjee and Dr. Ashish Nandi would argue Hindutva creates an artificial political homogenization out of a historically plural civilization. And I absolutely agree with Christopher Jaffrello, Partho Chatterjee, Ashish Nandi, but they are making this point as a criticism. I'm saying it is what it is. This is necessary. We can't do without it. So yes, even if it is an artificial political homogenization, this is the need of the fucking hour. And enough with that natural nahi hai bullshit. How much of a toddler, low IQ, idiot, retard do you have to be to think that only the things that are naturally occurring in society are acceptable? Their existence is acceptable. Yeah. Don't use any modern gadgets or plastic and stuff. Or don't wear clothes, be natural, go to a nudist beach, chill, write your papers. We are definitely doing artificial political homogenization out of a historically plural civilization because your intellectual ancestors kind of were on the side of people who forced us into this situation, who were a naturally occurring politically homogeneous society and religion, and a group of people, invaders, who came here and forced us into this situation. So we are not doing without political homogenization at all, bro. His model simplifies internal contradictions too aggressively. If Ashish Dhar has done that, he has done that mistakenly, because actually Ashish Dhar himself acknowledges more often than not that there are too many internal contradictions. Where ChatGPT is attacking Ashish Dhar here is with Ashish Dhar's sweeping use of the word Hindu maybe somewhere in the video. That's why. Otherwise, ChatGPT and Ashish Dhar are on the same page on this topic. Second problem with his argument. His understanding of caste is heavily one-sided. Yeah, on this, for some reason, Ashish Dhar got this hugely wrong, or maybe ChatGPT got Ashish Dhar hugely wrong, because the things ChatGPT criticizes Ashish Dhar for here, I do not expect these mistakes from Ashish Dhar. Something went wrong. So the ChatGPT accuses Ashish Dhar. The video frames reservations primarily as anti-merit. I agree. I mean, it is anti-merit. Civilizationally destructive. I agree with Ashish Dhar. Politically manipulative. I agree with Ashish Dhar. But it barely engages with why reservations emerged historically. Scholars influenced by B.R. Ambedkar, M.N. Srinivas, Andre Betty would argue caste was not merely identity fragmentation imposed by politicians. Now, my problem is I hardly think Ashish Dhar could have argued that caste fragmentation happened just because of politicians after 1947. I think ChatGPT is getting something wrong, or Ashish Dhar did not do a very good job of explaining himself. I do not think Ashish Dhar believes this insanity. ChatGPT explains that caste was in fact a deeply unequal social structure. I don't care about unequal. I care about bad behavior. Linked to exclusion from education, there was nothing to be educated about at one point. Land ownership, who's really a landowner even today? You pay taxes to your municipality. Literacy, there was nothing to be literate about. Temples, fair criticism. But although different people had different temples. And state power, yes, not everyone is going to get into state power by magic. Ashish Dhar treats caste mobilization mainly as cynical political engineering. If he does, that's retarded, but I don't think he did. That is incomplete. Caste politics also emerged because democracy enfranchised groups historically excluded from elite power. Now, here also, I do not think Ashish Dhar has a problem with democracy letting people, different disenfranchised groups, get to power. Ashish Dhar has a problem with them getting there because of reservations and reserved seats and stuff. So ChatGPT says that matters. If only this criticism of Ashish Dhar is accurate. His meritocracy argument is oversimplified. No. ChatGPT is completely wrong here. Ashish Dhar is very, very correct here. He assumes reservations necessarily reduce excellence. It does. And ChatGPT won't be able to argue otherwise. Okay, this is going to be hilarious. Check this out. The reality is more complicated. Research on affirmative action globally showed mixed outcomes. Okay. Now check out how much of a mixed outcome ChatGPT gives examples of. Okay. In some cases, institutional diversity increases mobility. Really? But does this sentence contradict the claim that reservation is anti-merit? Ajib baat hai. Ashish Dhar is talking about merit. This guy is talking about mobility. Elite monopolies weaken. Wow. What a great argument against reservations weakening merit. Long-term human capital expands. Still no argument against Ashish Dhar's claim. After we go through this ChatGPT funny, it's pretty good. It's 75% accurate. Critical analysis of Ashish Dhar's video. I'll take a cigarette break, even though it's very injurious to health. Do not smoke. Smoking causes cancer. I'll check out some live chat comments and then we'll get to the Ashish Dhar video itself. Okay, so the assumption that reservation automatically destroys competence is not established fact. Okay, it's not established fact, even though ChatGPT just gave us 3 pro-reservation arguments which don't agree in pro-merit. Lol. There are legitimate criticisms of India's quota system, permanence, creamy layer issues, political expansionism, lack of sunset clauses. Okay, even ChatGPT is admitting this. But the video moves too quickly from reservations have distortions to reservations destroy civilization. Well, yeah, it's an extrapolation. That leap is ideological, not rigorously demonstrated. Here I agree with ChatGPT. It is ideological, yes, and it is not rigorous enough. The claim in the end is correct according to me based on whatever rigor I have put into it, and it will be individual in the end for every other person, every individual. But in terms of the explanation that Ashish Dhar did, it was not rigorous enough. The linkages were not established clearly enough and not detailed enough. It has to be more granular. That's because he's not probably trained in social science. But even if he is an outsider to social science, this is a phenomenal job. Fourth criticism by ChatGPT. His use of HOP is philosophically selective. This is important. Hans Hermann Hoppe is an extremely controversial thinker associated with anarcho-capitalism, which even we are not in favor of, even though we are Hindutva 2.0 libertarians who believe in national libertarianism or minarchism. Anarcho-capitalism, anti-democratic radicalism, and highly reactionary politics. Hoppe's argument that monarchy can outperform democracy long-term is highly contested. I agree. Historically, many monarchies were catastrophically extractive. Excuse me. Now, the problem is even Mamata Banerjee, a part of democracy, was catastrophically extractive, short-sighted, dynastically unstable, economically stagnant. Yes, these 4 criticisms that ChatGPT makes of monarchy are absolutely applicable for Mamata Banerjee. Now, I am in a problem because I agree with ChatGPT broadly, but the arguments ChatGPT gives against Ashish Dhar do not hold because on this, Ashish Dhar could easily say that these are applicable for Mamata Banerjee as well. So how is monarchy that bad? For example, late Mughal decline, Bourbon France, Tsarist Russia, Mamta's West Bengal. China's modern long-term planning is not due to monarchy; it is due to centralized party-state capacity. Yeah, this is where ChatGPT is right. Ashish Dhar is wrong. Authoritarian, yeah, China is China because of centralized party-state capacity, authoritarian bureaucracy, industrial strategy. Ashish Dhar selectively compares India to China without addressing censorship, repression, demographic crisis, local debt, authoritarian rigidity. Yes, Ashish Dhar is wrong. ChatGPT is right. Next criticism, final criticism of second last criticism of ChatGPT against Ashish Dhar's arguments. He romanticizes civilizational resurgence without specifying institutional mechanics. Absolutely correct here, ChatGPT. Ashish Dhar completely lost the plot here, or he left these for posterity to take up and fill the gaps with more research, more brainstorming, more rigor. This is where the argument becomes vague. Now, this is what people who are not commies or do not want to be commies or who have moved away from leftist ideas but who are still in social science today, who are students or professors, maybe you take up these gaps in Ashidhar's thoughts. He proposes Hindutva 2.0. I do too. He proposes civilizational renaissance, Hindu strategic revival, Indian knowledge systems, temple freedom, constitutional recalibration. On the face of it, we agree with all these points. But yeah, ChatGPT asks how exactly, through what institutions, under what safeguards, with what protections for dissent, who defines civilizational interest. This is where we have done a better job, I think. We have, every time we have spoken of Hindutva 2.0 from a libertarian lens, we have clarified these concerns as well. We have addressed these concerns. These questions remain unanswered. A lot of the rhetoric operates at the level of emotional macro-civilizational aspiration rather than institutional design. Another criticism. The Ambedkarism will destroy civilization line is intellectually reckless. This is probably the weakest line in the video. Ambedkar was not simply promoting fragmentation. Ambedkar's critique was that Hindu civilization could not survive morally without confronting caste hierarchy. Yeah, one may disagree with Ambedkar's conclusions, but dismissing Ambedkarism as civilizational destruction ignores structural caste oppression, social humiliation, unequal access to opportunity. Yeah, but it's kind of Ambedkarism in its contemporary modern day avatar, which is a threat to civilization, not Ambedkar himself. And Ashish Dhar accurately, maybe, I don't know if he did this consciously or not, but if he consciously said Ambedkarism, not Ambedkar's ideas in general, or Ambedkar wanted the end of civilization, if he mentioned Ambedkarism, then this is accurate, because Ambedkar's ideas today, how they are propagated today, how they are misrepresented today, how they are misused today, that is definitely a threat to civilization. Even many non-left scholars acknowledge caste hierarchy was historically real and severe. Yeah, I do too. I'm not a caste scholar, but as a random guy with a Wi-Fi, I do agree. But I also see the point in Ashish Dhar's criticism of Ambedkarism. This section reduces a complex philosophical dispute into civilizational polemic. The hidden contradiction in the video. The biggest contradiction is this. Dhar criticizes democracy for encouraging identity competition, but his own solution is also identity mobilization, obviously. Hindu consolidation, Hindu strategic coordination, civilizational competition. He's not escaping identity politics. He's proposing a larger scale identity politics. This is crucial. The difference is he believes caste identity weakens Hindus, while Hindu identity strengthens them. But critics would ask, why is one identity mobilization civilizational, quote unquote civilizational, and why is another fragmentation? If you can talk about yourself being Hindu, why can't I talk about myself being a Brahmin or Shudra? That distinction is political, not objective. What scholars would say in response, Ambedkarite response would be that caste fragmentation predates democracy. They would be right. Democracy merely exposed existing hierarchy. Yes. Quotas are corrective mechanisms. We don't have the results to back this claim up. Hindu unity historically benefited upper castes disproportionately because upper castes were in a position of benefit disproportionately. Yes, that's how hierarchies work. Without hierarchies, societies do not function. They would say Dhar mistakes democratization of power for civilizational decline. They would, if Dhar said that, Dhar has in fact said that casteism began after 1947. Liberal response. Thinkers like Amartya Sen would argue, people possess multiple identities. This is from his book Identity and Violence, which we discussed from our live streams in Bengali. Porichiti o Hingsha. There, Amartya Sen says that at any given point in time, a person has multiple identities. At one moment, at one point, you are a musician, you are a man, you are a boy, you are a guy, you are a Hindu, you are an upper caste Hindu, you are a general caste Hindu, and you are a YouTuber, and you are many other things, etc. Now, but Amartya Sen also says, this is where ChatGPT did not complete the argument given by Amartya Sen, but thankfully I read the full book. Amartya Sen actually says that in different points of time, in different contexts, you end up prioritizing one aspect of your identity or one identity of yours uh, at any given point of time because of the situation you are in. So that I think solves all problems about anyone being of multiple identities. I do not see any contradiction with that argument. So thinkers like Amartya Sen would argue people possess multiple identities. Reducing politics to civilizational blocks is dangerous. We have to counter commies. What can we do? Democratic pluralism is messy but preferable to majoritarian consolidation. Fair enough. I'm saying majoritarian consolidation through democratic pluralism. You prove your majoritarian consolidation inside under the banner of democratic pluralism. And that's what's going on anyway. Marxist response. Marxists would say caste politics is partly a byproduct of unequal material structures. Who gives a shit? Hindutva redirects class frustration into cultural mobilization. Yeah, they do agree. They do argue with this, but they're wrong. Elites benefit when economic contradictions become identity wars. Yeah, as if elites do not have any other ways of benefiting. Lol. Conservative nationalist response. A more moderate conservative might agree with Dhar on. Now, here we come in kind of. Might agree with Dhar on institutional decay, symbolic politics, excessive quota expansion, civilizational insecurity. Yes, absolutely. While rejecting anti democratic romanticism. Yes, I agree with ChatGPT. Sweeping anti Ambedkar rhetoric. Anti Ambedkar and anti Ambedkarism aren't the same things, ChatGPT, bro. And totalizing Hindu bloc politics. That's kind of the goal, but not the reality today. I don't know what Ashish Dhar agrees. Obviously, Ashish Dhar would not say that we are a bloc already. Final assessment. This video is intellectually ambitious and far above average online political discourse. Yes. Its strongest contributions are democratic incentive critique, explanation of caste competition as strategic equilibrium. Beautiful. Yes. Recognition of long-term institutional decay. Absolutely. And analysis of narrative cycles in Indian politics. Absolutely beautiful job by Ashish Dhar there in these sections. Its biggest weaknesses are reduction of caste primarily to electoral engineering. Right, if at all Ashish Dhar has said this, I would be very surprised if he said this. Romanticization of Hindu civilizational unity, selective use of theory, weak institutional specificity. Yeah, all these are correct criticisms. But the problem is, most of these are kind of very constructive. It's like an elder sister giving you some advice, like, hey, bro, try this out. It will turn out better for your own argument or for your own movement. And insufficient engagement with historical caste inequality. Yeah, that Ashish Dhar is known to do. Okay, what is going on inside my eyes? Wait. The video succeeds best at a critique of democratic incentives and identity competition. It is much weaker as a blueprint for civilizational renewal. The central unresolved question is, can Hindu identity transcend caste without first addressing the historical realities that made caste politically explosive in the first place? I do not know why was I wearing a headphone for all this while. I thought I will have to listen to the video, so I forgot that I do not need a headphone to look at ChatGPT. The central unresolved question is, can Hindu unity transcend caste without first addressing the historical realities that made caste politically explosive in the first place? Beautiful question, and only we have the answer. We people who believe in Max Weber, Dipankar Gupta, Andre Beti, Irfan Habib, and other researchers who have pointed out that caste existed everywhere. Castes are exclusive groups with distinct consumption patterns, etc. We have an answer to this. The video largely assumes the answer is yes. A large number of historians, sociologists, Ambedkarites, liberals, and even moderate conservatives would say the answer is far more complicated. Yeah. Now we will check out the main video and have a bit of unhealthy smoking and check out some live chats. Somebody became a member. Thank you, Tarkata Sipahi, for becoming a member. So what do you all think of ChatGPT's criticism, guys? And how many of you all have seen the video in the first place? Ashish Dhar's video. Beautiful criticism by ChatGPT as well, we must admit. And I'm stammering too much today. I don't know why. I have not had too much coffee. This is my first cup of coffee and I'm talking like I had a cocaine overdose. Or at all. Neon is saying Ambedkarism is the ideological vehicle of mandalization of Indian politics, which will be disastrous. Savarkar's views on caste is opposite of Dhar. Yeah. দাদা শ্রমিক ভট্টাচার্যের স্টেটমেন্ট যেটা ঘুরছে ভালো তৃণমূলকে দলে নেওয়া এটা কি ট্রেচারি হবে না? নো সিকার আই বিলিভ whether good Trinamool or bad Trinamool, everyone must be inducted into BJP so that their wings are chopped off, so that their fangs are destroyed with a hammer, and then they are put into work in ground level Sangathan and NGO stuff that RSS does in the villages. We can't afford to let Trinamools go around regrouping and recreating Trinamool. Is Ashish Dhar KP? Yeah. Dada, do you think paying taxes on land and on land an individual already owns is unfair and should be unconstitutional? No, this needs a bigger discussion, and I have some thoughts on the top of my head, but I have a hunch that there might be deeper issues to it, because off the top of my head, yeah, it's my land, white taxes. But since our security apparatus has been pretty horseshit for a long time, and internal security apparatus, and even British East India Company kind of concerns and stuff, so it needs a longer discussion with more educated people in this conversation. I am not fit to do this particular discussion unless I read up more on this. I'm not well read enough on this. What about those people who fought tooth and nail, endured 2021 violence, mass rape, tada, call me the emotional dictator? Yeah, but first of all, ask the questions in English, because it's a English live chat, English live stream. Yes, emotions of those people who have lost their friends and family men in the 2021 post-poll violence. I'm saying these people from Trinamool, who are not the direct criminals, who are not going to jail at least, should not be allowed to reform Trinamool. They should go and work under those people whose emotions need to be respected. Are you taking audience stream in the end today, Q&A and so on? Or no, Rutvik, we won't have time, because now we are just going to start discussing this live stream. Okay, headphones now. And remember, guys, smoking is injurious to health. Smoking causes cancer. Do not smoke. Say no to smokes. Say no to cigarettes. Say no to drugs. But I believe that no TMC should be inducted into BJP. No TMC, because if we induct them, there's no difference between TMC or BJP. That's not how a regimented party works.
Let's talk about something that is obvious and baffling at the same time.
No, nothing in West Bengal, inside the BJP ecosystem, can happen today without the go-ahead of Shubhendu and Amit Shah. If TMC people are inducted and they do become Tolabajis and do Tolabaji as they were doing, and Syndicate Raj, etc., as they were doing under Trinamool, you will have to absolutely acknowledge that this is happening with the blessings of Amit Shah and Shubhendu. And I do not think they will give those blessings. Yes, a criminal will always be a criminal. Therefore, criminals belong in jail. Some criminals are not criminal enough to be in jail. They can be defanged and their wings can be chopped off and be made to work under BJP party workers who have been BJP from before 4th May. Rudvik, we will discuss reservations a lot now. No problem. Yeah, I'm absolutely opposed to any kind of reservations, because after all, even with EWS, the coping with your rest of your classroom problem, that doesn't go away.
Why is Indian politics so obsessed with caste? And why is it getting worse? You see it everywhere, in college admissions, in government jobs, in election rallies, in panel debates where politicians call caste a great evil, and then in the very next sentence demand more caste-based quotas and a caste census. The same people who call caste oppressive weaponize it in every parliament session like clockwork. A recent UGC notification for institutionalizing procedures to deal with discrimination in Indian universities is just one more symptom of this deeper sickness. It rules out...
Okay, guys, this is a huge coincidence, but I just got a reply from a person, a very, very learned, scholarly person, and I asked him his views on this video as well. Okay, he just replied to me, and I'm not going to name him to avoid pointless e-lafraz. but he is very critical. He's saying, the reply just came on WhatsApp, okay? This is a load of juvenile naivete. Did kings and emperors really plan for the long term, nurturing their countries for future rewards? Or did they tend to be spendthrift and exploitative? Is totalitarian China really better managed than India, or just 15 years ahead on the growth curve? Exactly. These are the criticisms where ChatGPT, I, and this person agrees. How is totalitarian North Korea doing? It's kind of like a family kingdom, isn't it? Sure, democratic politicians do their best to bribe their voters, and that's a good thing. It's a fantasy to think that countries would be better managed if only we left things to the technocratic professionals. As for electoral divisions, for example, by caste, they are only permanent as long as the caste divisions are permanent. There's very little pandering to forward castes in India because caste is not particularly relevant for members of forward castes. There is pandering to backward castes because caste is a relevant aspect of their daily lives. Yes. Absolutely fair. He is still typing. I'll check out his replies later on.
Any possible wrongdoing is it in every parliament session like clockwork. A recent UGC notification for institutionalizing procedures to deal with discrimination in Indian universities is just one more symptom of this deeper sickness. It rules out any possible wrongdoing against people of the so-called general category, leaving them disadvantaged and vulnerable, while pronouncing them guilty for just existing. Politicians talk about New India, Viksit Bharat, Vishwaguru, and then go back to the colonial script of destroying the social fabric of this country. In this video, the plan is simple. First, we strip away the romantic language around democracy and look at how democracy actually works, the way it is on the inside, not what they claim in school textbooks. Second, we use elementary ideas of game theory and behavioral economics to show why Indian politics, as it functions today, is structurally anti-India, especially for Hindu society. Third, look ahead. If this equilibrium is not challenged, what happens to Hindutva? What happens to BJP? And what happens to the Hindu majority that thought it had finally found a voice? And fourth, we ask the hard question. How do we get out of this trap? What strategic moves are even available? If that sounds interesting, stay with me till the end, because this isn't about whom you should vote for. This is about whether Hindu civilization can survive the madness of...
Bhai, a BJP-proof right wing, I think, have we achieved that already, or it's in very, very niche corners of the internet, but I think we are well on our way to achieving that. That is the best development.
Democracy. Part 1, how democracy really works, not how we are told it works. We are taught to treat democracy like a religion.
Yeah.
Regular elections, peaceful transfers of power, rule of law, people's will, the usual phrases. Question any of this and you're instantly labeled anti-democratic, authoritarian, fascist. Pick your favorite slur. But let's remove the halo and look at the mechanics, the way political economist Hans Hermann Hoppe does in his book, Democracy, the God That Failed. Hoppe makes a brutally simple observation. In a democracy, rulers do not own the system they control. They are like temporary caretakers hired for a short contract.
Yeah, and kind of a libertarian argument that if it's not your private property, you won't take care of it. Anything that's public property is the first thing that gets damaged in a riot. Even Chesai Deepak pointed out. Then what do we do? If it's not mine, who takes care of it and stuff? So we are left with hoping for the best. That we hope that a guy becomes prime minister who thinks of his country as his own little family that he must take care of. Holy cow. This is a huge problem. But I do not see how monarchy solves this problem. That is the biggest problem. So again, I'll go with Winston Churchill. Democracy is shit, but this is not his direct quote, obviously. But democracy is shit, but this is the best we've got.
They cannot sell the state. They cannot bequeath it to their children. they cannot capitalize on its long-term value. So their natural incentive is to maximize what they can extract now, in their term, and push the costs onto the future. He contrasts this with an old-style hereditary monarch who, whatever his flaws, has a vested interest in preserving the value of his realm over generations. The monarch owns the capital value of the government. The democratic politician only controls the current cash flow. Hoppe puts it bluntly. Under democracy, the incentive to be an original owner or producer is reduced, and the incentive to be a non-owner and non-producer is raised. In other words, those who borrow from the future thrive, those who work for the future are penalized. The result is that in a democracy, and this is crucial for understanding Indian politics, the gap between promises and delivery.
So far, we all agree, right, with whatever Ashish is saying and whatever Hoppe has said?
Is not an accident. It is the system. It is baked in. In a democracy, candidates seek votes by offering promises. Once elected, many discover that they lack the authority, capacity, clarity, political freedom, or institutional support to actually fulfill them. This creates a paradox. Admitting their inability to deliver would undermine the legitimacy of democratic governance itself and could provoke public panic or disorder, not to mention the opposition taking your place. Imagine the Chief Minister of Delhi openly telling citizens that they must accept hazardous pollution and the risk of severe lung disease because the government is powerless to act. Such candor is politically impossible. As a result, politicians tend to resort to distraction or symbolic gestures instead of substantive solutions. Why? Because
if you read Economic Facts and Fallacies, Basic Economics, Applied Economics books by Thomas Sowell, you will see the same exact criticisms from Jayant Bhandari as well.
Every democratic government faces the same perverse choice. Should I focus on short-term populism that gives me visible gains before the next election? Or should I invest in long-term structural reforms whose benefits will show up after I am out of power, if they show up at all? Hoppe's answer is merciless. Democratic politicians, he says, show a much...
We must bring up Buddhadev Bhattacharya in this argument, in this context, obviously. Jyoti Basu did only for things for his personal gain. He came up with he at least made people come up with the WBIDC, ICICI prepared document called Destination West Bengal 1999. Then he asked McKinsey to prepare a vision, sort of a journey plan for West Bengal's way to development. Then was not able to implement any of that. And he cared about his position. Therefore, he did not implement it because it would make him possibly go out of power and stuff. He shoved it on the shoulders of Buddhadev Bhattacharya, who did it, went out of power. And then Mamata Banerjee came, did everything the opposite, stayed in power for 5 years more than Buddhadev Bhattacharya, destroyed the state. So anybody who thinks of the future will not only get penalized, and not only will he not see his vision bear fruit during his lifetime. Buddhadev Bhattacharya, in fact, saw the fruits of his labor go to complete waste during his lifetime. Before passing away, he saw what a destroyed state West Bengal became right in front of his eyes, even though he was on the verge of making West Bengal a beautiful society.
Much higher degree of time preference. They are more short-sighted because they know they might be out at the next election. So they naturally choose policies that buy immediate popularity over those that build distant prosperity. And that's exactly what you see in practice. And that's why India is not China. And that's why India, unlike China, cannot think in centuries or even decades. Big, tough reforms that would...
Here is where Ashish Dhar gets it completely wrong. This sentence does not make sense. India is not unable to think in civilizational terms. Neither is China able to think in civilizational terms. It's the CCP who thinks in civilizational terms. Different political parties who come to power in India, fighting out in a in a situation of democratic competition, those parties do not have civilizational thinking and future thinking, etc. CCP does. It can. It's much easier for them because it's a one-party democracy.
Actually change incentives in the economy, in education, in judiciary, in bureaucracy, those get postponed, diluted, or buried in committees. Meanwhile, loan waivers get announced overnight.
Repeatedly.
Quotas get expanded with one cabinet decision. New scheme with catchy acronyms are launched every few months. Statues, memorials, awards, and days are declared at zero political cost.
Yeah.
A leader
And people like our Sanatan economists and Sanatan AC temperaturists go on celebrating that instead of making constructive criticisms.
comes to power on the promise of transforming India. Once inside, he or she discovers a harsh reality. The distance between what you can say and what you can actually do is often unbridgeable. So what do? You quietly move from cause to symptom. You give up on deep surgery and switch to cosmetic surgery. You take the lowest hanging symbolic fruits, statues, slogans, temple visits, flashy schemes, and you flood the system with them.
Yeah.
At any rate, your staple diet in a democracy is identity politics. You amplify friend-enemy narratives because they hijack your voters' emotions. It's not that there are no real friends and enemies in the world. Yes, there are. But instead of securing your people, you find it more convenient to keep your core supporters emotionally charged so that they forgive the gap between promise and reality. Hoppe summarizes this drift in one chilling line. Democratic politics becomes a process of unlimited redistribution of existing property rather than the creation of new wealth. It's not just material.
Then, see, USA is not libertarian fully, but neither is it completely a democracy, because a complete democracy would mean there's no manipulation, nowhere, in no ways. But USA is a pretty awesome democracy as far as the definitions of democracy go. And even then it creates wealth. Many countries with democracies create wealth.
Material wealth he's talking about, but even intellectual capital. Liberal democracy leaves a nation intellectually impoverished. Once you see that, a lot of Indian politics starts to make sense. And this is not a BJP problem or a Congress problem. This is the beauty of democracy. Every party that stays in power long enough eventually slides into this mode. Policy is reduced to tokenism. Providing solutions to real problems is substituted by storytelling. Instead of freeing Hindu temples from state control, you start building temple corridors to boost tourism. Part 2.
Only temple economics.
Anti-incumbency and the long narrative arcs of Indian politics. This built-in short-termism creates another feature we all see but rarely analyze properly: anti-incumbency. Indian journalists imagine anti-incumbency as voter mood swings. Public is fickle, log mood badal dete hain, etc., etc. But there is a deeper logic. It's not just that people get bored. It's that democratic regimes are structurally incapable of closing the promise delivery gap.
Yeah.
Over time, the myth collapses under its own weight.
Yes.
And when that happens, politics doesn't just change leaders, it changes narrative eras. Since 1947, you can think of Indian politics as moving through a sequence of big narrative arcs, each lasting roughly 20 to 30 years. These narrative arcs are embedded in the all-pervading and therefore rarely noticed phenomenon of democratic propaganda. First came the Nehruvian era. Secularism, planning, scientific temper, socialism, the idea of India as a modern nation state. Whatever you think of it now, it was a powerful narrative for its time. Then, as that model ran out of steam, you see the early stirrings of caste politics. The Mandal Commission and its implementation in 1990 did not come out of nowhere. It was a response to an entrenched Congress system that had stopped delivering material gains to large sections of the population.
Beautiful.
But kept feeding them empty slogans.
Yeah.
Mandal reservations exploded onto the scene. for a brief period, the axis of Indian politics tilted decisively towards caste-based mobilization. Regional parties like Samajwadi Party, RJD, Bahujan Samaj Party, and others rose on the promise of correcting upper caste domination through state power. But very quickly, another narrative began to take shape, one that sliced the electorate differently. In the early 1990s, you see the surge of Hindutva politics. Ayodhya, Ram Janmabhoomi, the idea of building a Hindu vote that cuts across caste lines and unites the majority on religious lines. This wasn't just another issue. It was a direct challenge to both Nehruvian secularism and Mandal-style caste fragmentation. So the political axis shifted again. After some coalition chaos and a corruption-heavy UPA era, the BJP came to power in 2014 with a blended narrative: development plus decisive Hindu assertion. Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas on the one hand,
Also known as Buddhadev Bhattacharya plus cow.
and a clear signal that the Hindu majority would no longer be permanently shamed or sidelined. And for a while, that narrative worked spectacularly well. Part 3. Hindutva has harvested its low-hanging fruits. Fast
Absolutely.
forward to now. Most of the big symbolic promises of Hindutva have been fulfilled or neutralized. Ram Mandir, done. Article 370, effectively removed. Pakistan terror narrative, overused. The image of a decisive strongman taking on the old Lutyens' order, established, then routinized. In other words, the low-hanging fruits, the kind of symbolic moves that a democracy is good at, have been harvested. What remains on the Hindutva wish list are not easy gestures, but deep structural questions. Will the constitution ever be amended in a serious way to remove anti-Hindu asymmetries and special treatments? Will Hindu temples be freed from state control across states? Will there be heavy long-term investment in Sanskrit, in Indian knowledge systems, traditional sciences, and genuine intellectual decolonization? Will Kashmiri Pandits be resettled in Kashmir in a meaningful, irreversible way? Will there be reforms that actually reduce the power of the political class and bureaucracy over society? These are not photo op reforms. These are take on the permanent state, take on the courts, take on entrenched interests, risk your own power reforms. And here, democracy's fundamental weakness bites again. For a party that has been in power effectively for 3 consecutive terms, the politically rational question is, what's my next narrative arc? What keeps me in power for another 10 to 20 years?
What do you think? What's BJP going to stay in power with? Caste politics for the rest of the country, obviously, and maybe significant development and therefore GDP growth because of the eastern states now.
Without forcing me into the dangerous zone of sincere long-term work. The safe answer is not take on the constitution head-on, free temples, break the bureaucracy's control over society. Those fights are costly, uncertain, and may even backfire. So the system looks for a new story, one that creates a fresh emotional divide, opens up new vote banks.
Hello, sir. Yes. Yeah. I wanted to find out what you thought of it as well. Yeah. Hope you watched it.
And can be managed with tokenism and narrative rather than deep restructuring. And that brings us to the most dangerous shift now underway. Part 4, enter caste politics again, but worse. If Hindutva has reached diminishing returns, what's the next big thing? The obvious new frontier is caste, but with a twist. Unlike Hindutva, where BJP had almost a monopoly on the narrative and the emotional energy, in caste politics, BJP is entering territory where the opposition has decades of experience.
Yeah, and here obviously BJP is going into this completely blindsided, like a headless chicken. It has no idea what it's doing or talking about in terms of caste and stuff. All they know is that yes, kuch reservation karna hai. That's the baseline. But the criticism that Ashish Dhar makes here of BJP going outside its aukat kind of and getting into a discourse where it's not comfortable. These criticisms are very beautiful and very well articulated. These criticisms of BJP here, I think, are very effective and very important. BJP must take note of these criticisms.
And credibility. Regional parties are the original flag bearers of caste-based mobilization.
Okay, Salvatore sir is saying, if the BJP stays in power, it will stay in power by being responsive to voters. Yeah, and voters in Eastern India will be talking about development and in the rest of the country will probably be bothered about caste. So that's how it's going to go on then.
With Congress reluctantly joining their bandwagon. Mandal politics, OBC quotas, sub-quotas, targeted welfare, this has pretty much been their bread and butter. BJP's own rise was in many ways a reaction against this. It tried to create a Hindu umbrella that could cut across caste lines. But now, post-2024, when cracks have appeared in the BJP's OBC and scheduled caste support, you can see a clear shift. There is talk of caste census. There is acceptance of ever-expanding.
Yeah, Karthik, this is an interesting criticism you make of Ashish Dhar here. That yes, now in hindsight, now that it's done, it kind of happened pretty smoothly since 2019 onwards. Now Ram Temple does seem low hanging. It wasn't at all to begin with, and I think right wingers had genuine concerns that this is impossible stuff. This is not going to happen in our lifetimes. So yes, calling Ram Temple, building it, rebuilding it, that was not a low hanging fruit, I think. Nor was Article 370 for that matter. But yes, in the end, Ashish Dhar is broadly right because, well, you have done it. Now what? For how long will you get votes for having done something 5 years back, 10 years back, 15 years back?
There is talk of caste census. There is acceptance of ever-expanding reservation demands. There is a strengthening of the already draconian SC/ST Act that has destroyed lives and families.
Yeah.
And there are overtures to specific caste groups through schemes, tickets, symbolism. On the surface, BJP has a simple justification. If we don't compete in the caste marketplace, we will be wiped out by parties that do. We are just leveling the playing field.
Yeah.
But here is where game theory helps us see the trap. Part 5, Nash equilibrium, why everyone is stuck in a bad caste game. To understand why every big party in India is trapped in caste politics, it helps.
Love everyone. Obviously, you are right, but I'm inclined to have some sympathy for Ashish Dhar's argument here. Not his solutions, but his criticism at least, because the fact that Yogi in the end turned out to be a guy who serves the people, that was sheer dumb luck. If you didn't, what would you do? क्या उखाड़ लेते मैं और तुम? हाँ, at worst हार जाता 5 साल के बाद. यूपी में ऐसे ही होते आ रहा है, तो क्या हो जाता? How would then Ashish Dhar be proven wrong? It's just sheer luck that Yogi ended up being that way, or he could have been a similar kind of a well-intentioned person, but simply less effective. He could have been that, or his goals could have been simply smaller, or maybe somebody else could have done it even better, etc. But maybe because of democracy, Yogi is doing only this much, etc. So what Yogi has done, that cannot be an argument for democracy, because whatever Yogi achieved, even if he could not achieve this, if he could have stayed happy but achieved this, etc., all of this was just luck and nothing else. So if it's up to luck and hope, how can we defend that system then? He's saying, no, it was not. Watch Shubhendu, watch Fadnavis, all dumb luck, no smart players. Are you saying Yogi, Fadnavis, Shubhendu, Himanto, Mohan Yadav, Mohan Maji, all are same just because BJP chose them? There is a reason that there's a certain murmur surrounding Himanto, Yogi, Shubhendu, because those three are not like anybody else in the entire country, in any party. Forget even BJP. BJP had such a person for 12 years. That guy became the prime minister already. Next, we have only 3 guys. And incidentally, none of them from BJP or RSS backgrounds. But and I don't see even Fadnavis in this discourse, because Fadnavis might be a good CM. I do not know enough of Maharashtra politics or development, etc. But Yogi, Himanto, Shubhendu are first of all taking absolutely destroyed states into the future. Fadnavis is sitting on top of a mountain of wealth and corruption that I do not know if he has solved, contractor-based corruption and stuff. Neither does he have that murmur and vibe surrounding him about him being a future PM and stuff. So Shubhendu, Himanto, Yogi are just dumb luck. Every other CM is showing you what Ashish Dhar is arguing about. especially Mamata Banerjee. The same system produced Yogi and Mamata. The same exact system. The same system defeated Buddhadeva Bhattacharya. That same system kept Jyoti Basu in power. So how can we say the system is great only when Yogi is elected and the system is out of the blue bad because it elected Mamata? The system has no complete grasp over this particular issue.
Why everyone is stuck in a bad caste game. To understand why every big party in India is trapped in caste politics, it helps to first understand one of the most famous ideas in game theory, the prisoner's dilemma. Imagine two criminals, Afzal and Umar, caught by the police. The police don't have enough evidence for a big conviction, so they separate them and offer each the same deal. If both stay silent, both get a light sentence, say 1 year each.
This section is very important, guys. Do not miss this. Okay, love everyone is saying Modi, Amit Shah are changing the system slowly. How can they change the system of democracy? Democracy is a system. Democracy was not given birth or will be sustained by Modi, Amit Shah. If democracy has to operate like a religion, Modi, Amit Shah have to become gods. They have not become that. And even if they were gods, it would not be democracy in the end. But they cannot change the fundamental problems of democracy. All you have is hope that yes, Modi, Amit Shah did some changes to the system. Now we hope that anybody who turns up, anybody the system throws up will be Shubhendu and Yogi. Meanwhile, it's going on throwing Mohan Yadav, Mohan Maji, Rajasthan CM, Gujarat CM, etc. None of them are bad, but they are not Shubhendu, Himanto, Yogi. Changing rot in the system. Yes, he's fixing some corruption in the system. But the core problem of you having faith that the CM will have good intentions, that's not taken care of. That cannot be taken care of by Modi, Amit Shah. What will they do? Do some prayoga from the PMO? How can that be taken care of?
So they separate them and offer each the same deal. If both stay silent, both get a light sentence, say 1 year each. If Afzal confesses and Umar stays silent, Afzal goes free and Umar gets 10 years. If Umar confesses and Afzal stays silent, Umar goes free and Afzal gets 10 years. And if both confess, both get 5 years. Neither prisoner can talk to the other. Each has to decide alone, confess or stay silent. Now look at it from Afzal's point of view. If Umar stays silent, Afzal is better off confessing. Afzal goes free instead of getting 1 year. If Umar confesses, Afzal is still better off confessing. Afzal gets 5 years instead of 10. So no matter what Umar does, Afzal's best move is to confess. Exactly the same logic applies for Umar. So both end up confessing. They each get 5 years. But notice something crucial. If both had trusted each other and stayed silent, they would have got 1 year each, which is much better than 5. Yet, because each one fears getting the worst outcome, 10 years, while the other goes free, they choose a strategy that leads to a worse outcome for both. That final situation, both confessing, is a Nash equilibrium. Neither Afzal nor Umar can unilaterally change their choice and do better, given what the other is doing.
Yeah, I agree that Ashish Dhar is not very accurate. His kind of the frame he is using is not very relevant here, because in the end, whatever the discourse on the ground, yeah, BJP might not have done enough to change the discourse, etc. Maybe they did not know, they were afraid of English speaking intellectuals and stuff. But when the push comes to shove, when caste politics is the only thing left to do in order to get votes, what do? Then you do caste politics. Unless you expect every politician to be Buddhadeva Bhattacharya, and Buddhadeva Bhattacharya sacrificing his CM-ship did not really help us. We had 15 years of hell. So in the end, you'll have to admit that politicians will do whatever they have to do to stay in power, etc. So the only thing you can do is, if you are well connected and stuff, keep pushing better discourse into their ears so that they get a vibe that things are changing on the ground, and or do things to change things on the ground yourself. I'm asking all of you all to become activists and stuff. It sounds like that, but I do not mean that. I'm saying have those views yourself. You are part of that populace. Wherever you make your opinion heard, whether it's in a tea stall or online or to your parents or to your friends, all of that has a butterfly effect. Overton windows in conversations do change. We have had a change. And it's not impossible to change our economics and caste and reservation discourse for the better as well. But unless ground up the signal goes to the politicians that we want this, and for this we will vote for you. If you do not do this, we won't vote for you, which is what the other side does. That is how the other side is pushing their ideas forward. We are not going to have a fun time, and we are going to come up with pointless criticisms like this one.
But it is a bad equilibrium because there is another possible outcome of both staying silent that would have been better off for both. The lesson is simple and depressing. When you fear being the only one who cooperates, it can be rational to choose a destructive option. And once everyone does that, you get stuck in a stable but harmful.
I'm not sure why, objectively speaking, that 5-year sentence is absolutely an unacceptable deal in this situation, because that 1 year is not guaranteed at all. People will seek surety and guarantees and stuff, hence the madness over government jobs. We will see how, when you do not get permanent tenures and firing you is not so difficult and suing you is not so difficult, we will ask and see how many of Indians really want to serve the country, etc. So if people generally will have a proclivity towards surety and guarantee, why should the guy risk going to jail for 10 years just because he might get out after 1 year? I think it's absolutely fair for him to choose a guaranteed 5-year sentence instead of a possible 1-year sentence.
Full pattern. Now map this to India's caste politics. Replace the two prisoners with two big political players. Player 1, BJP.
Okay, Deen Bhakta is saying Buddha Bhattacharya was not rigid. We were young. He came to college. When he went to JU in 2005 and he got black march and black flag march against him, it was done by a political student group, one of whose founders today is getting funded by the central government to do social science research. He was a Maoist sympathizer then. He possibly is even now. He's a far left man.
Caste politics. Replace the two prisoners with two big political players. Player 1, BJP. Player 2, the opposition bloc, Congress plus major regional caste-based parties. And replace confess or stay silent with two political strategies. Strategy C for cooperate, akin to staying silent. Dial down caste politics, focus more on broader issues, performance, governance, some version of wider Hindu or Indian identity rather than micro-caste arithmetic. And strategy D for defect, akin to confessing. Double down on caste politics. Demand caste census, promise more quotas, mobilize specific castes, cut tickets and schemes openly along caste lines. Now, think through the payoffs in simple terms. Scenario 1. BJP cooperates, opposition defects. BJP soft pedals caste, talks more about Hindutva, nationalism and development. Opposition goes full caste, detailed caste census, new quota promises, targeted Jati alliances. Result, opposition gains caste blocks. And BJP looks aloof, out of touch, maybe even anti-reservation in the propaganda. So if BJP expects the opposition to go all in on caste, BJP feels it cannot afford to stay silent on caste. Now, scenario 2, BJP defects and opposition cooperates. So you reverse the scenario 1. Now, BJP scoops up vote banks the opposition has carefully built over decades. The opposition looks naive and loses ground among the very groups it claimed to represent. Now, scenario 3, both defect, that is, both play caste politics. This is where we actually are. BJP pays lip service to Hindutva, but at the same time calibrates its caste coalition carefully, supports or flirts with caste census, announces targeted schemes for specific castes, balances tickets by caste, brings in atrocious one-sided laws against.
What policies of BJP are targeted towards specific castes? Can anybody tell me? This sounds a little too drastic.
Upper castes. And the opposition continues and intensifies mandal-style politics, pushes for fresh caste surveys, new sub-quotas, and overt caste alignments. Both sides now compete in the same caste marketplace. No one can unilaterally back off safely. So both play caste politics becomes the Nash equilibrium. It is stable. If either side alone tries to change strategy, it gets punished. But just like in the prisoner's dilemma, this equilibrium is bad for everyone in the long term. It is disastrous for Hindu society and for India because it keeps deepening caste divisions and makes every policy a bargaining chip, prevents any serious long-term demandalization or institutional cleanup. There is an alternative, better outcome, a kind of both stay silent version, where all major players simultaneously reduce the use of caste as their primary tool and compete more on nation building, civilizational obligations, cultural vision, environment, governance, ideas, performance, and so on. But just like the prisoners, no party wants to be the first to stay silent, while the other confesses by going all out on caste. So they both keep confessing. They both keep playing the caste card. And the country keeps getting politics that is rational for the players, but irrational for the civilization. That is the tragedy of the current Nash equilibrium in India's caste politics. Part 6, the decoy effect, how BJP risks being used as a prop. Let's add one more idea from behavioral economics, the decoy effect, which we had spoken about earlier in one of the pinpoint videos. In consumer behavior, the decoy effect occurs when you introduce a third option designed not to be chosen, but to make one of the other two options more attractive by comparison. For example, imagine 3 subscription plans. Plan A, rupees 500, offering core features. Plan B, rupees 800, which offers core features and all add-ons. And Plan C, which is a decoy, at rupees 700, slightly fewer features than B. Most people now choose Plan B. Why? Because compared to C, B looks like a much better deal. Plan C exists mainly to push people to B. Now translate this to politics. On the caste axis, imagine 3 broad positions. Position X, pure caste politics, endless quotas, explicit mobilization, explicit caste-based rhetoric. Position Y, pure Hindutva, minimize caste, maximize Hindu unity, push for demandalization.
That's where we are as libertarians as well.
Position Z, hybrid, Hindutva.
I mean, a libertarian would not be bothered about Hindu unity, but caste minimization, etc. Everything that leads to Hindu unity. So libertarians kind of agree on the same things as Hindutvadis, but for different reasons. Policy positions would be same.
Tokenism plus active caste census, new quotas, micro-targeted caste welfare. If BJP slides from Y towards Z, Hindutva plus caste conciliatory politics, while Congress and regional parties fully occupy X, BJP risks becoming the decoy. To upper caste and core Hindutva supporters, BJP 2.0 looks compromised, confused, no longer ideologically sharp. To hardcore caste-based parties, BJP 2.0 looks like a junior copycat. It sits in the middle, slowly bleeding authenticity on both sides. The more it talks caste to win over rival parties' traditional bases, the more it alienates those who supported it precisely because it promised to transcend caste. The more it softens its Hindutva edge to appear inclusive and caste-sensitive, the more it makes itself indistinguishable from the very parties it once opposed. In the long run, voters who really want caste-based politics will prefer the original caste parties. Voters who really want a strong, unapologetic Hindu civilizational project will drift towards possible smaller alternatives, or more likely, simply drop out in disgust. BJP then risks becoming the political equivalent of a decoy subscription plan, helpful for shaping the battlefield, useful for comparisons, but not the default choice for either camp. And in the meantime, the Nash equilibrium of everyone plays caste politics hardens. Part 7.
Without the Nash equilibrium.
Hindu society. Let's project this forward a decade or two, assuming this equilibrium is not challenged. If this caste-driven equilibrium continues, Hindu society faces a triple loss: competitive edge, internal cohesion, and global standing. First, by allowing a free run to caste-based reservations, India runs the risk of losing its competitive edge in all fields. When access to elite colleges, government jobs, promotions, and fellowships is heavily mediated by labels rather than performance, the system prioritizes identity over raw talent. Top institutions fill with candidates who meet relaxed cutoffs, while those who clear higher bars feel their talent is wasted. Over time, this erodes national capacity in critical domains. IITs produce fewer world-class researchers. Civil services lose analytical sharpness. Enterprises struggle with suboptimal leadership. A civilization that once led in mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy cannot sustain global leadership when meritocracy is systematically diluted. Nations that compete at the frontier in AI, semiconductors, defense tech demand uncompromised excellence. India risks becoming a third-tier player, forever catching up.
Yeah.
Second, this arrangement injects resentment into Hindu society's core. Instead of shared identity and the ancient ideal of interdependence between jatis and varnas, politics becomes caste versus caste. Which group captured jobs, diluted quotas, or grabbed tickets? Forward castes, dominant OBCs, non-dominant OBCs, scheduled caste, subgroups, all see rivals in each other. Hindutva collapses from unifying vision to thin rhetoric over mandal arithmetic. The energy for civilizational revival diverts to micro-bargaining, fragmenting the majority into permanent factions. This is classic all versus all totalitarianism. Third, the poison is exported abroad. Indians fleeing quotas find caste following them. The Cisco case, where California alleged caste discrimination by Indian managers, amplified by the shady equality labs, embedded caste into US policies despite courts' dismissal. Companies, universities now flag Indians as risks, forcing diaspora professionals into caste-biased trainings based on manufactured narratives. India's geopolitical goodwill suffers. A talent exporter becomes a caste exporter, denting soft power and giving rivals ammunition. The result, a society sacrificing edge for equity, splintering its majority, and tainting its global brand. Unless redesigned, this equilibrium locks Hindu society into quiet decline. And remember, in a democracy, once you build this kind of equilibrium, it is extremely hard to roll back. Every group becomes invested in the rules that recognize it. Every attempt to rationalize the
Ashish, is saying that when it becomes this, it will be impossible to revert, etc. It's that damage is already done. Therefore, I'm acknowledging that the damage is done, and all we can do right now is change the minds of people on the ground. That please admit, please see that reservation is bad.
System is framed as attack on our rights. You get a frozen, brittle system where everyone is angry and no one is secure. And genuine long-term state capacity keeps eroding. That is the direction we are walking in. Part 8. Is there any way out for India and especially for BJP? Nash equilibria aren't destiny. They can be broken, but only by changing the game, not by preaching unity or guilt-tripping your voters. The Nash equilibrium of caste politics is a vicious cycle. Parties compete to fragment Hindus into warring castes. Voters reward quota promises over governance. Society erodes merit for identity and resentment festers. BJP can break this, not by moralizing, but by replacing it with a virtuous cycle of Hindu civilizational resurgence that changes incentives so everyone rationally chooses a higher path, one that does not weaponize caste, but understands jati and varna.
Yes, BJP should, and probably BJP knows they should. Can they do it and still win elections? That's the entire question.
Hindutva succeeded because it was a response to real threats, secular shaming of Hindu identity, constitutional...
No, Ashish is contradicting himself. Hindutva did not become successful electorally ever. He mentioned it a while back, 10-15 minutes back, that BJP was a response to Congress's corruption and stuff.
Symmetries punishing the majority, Marxist poisoning of school curriculum. It restored dignity and agency when both were under siege. Hindutva 2.0 must respond to today's existential challenges. Quota wars killing competitive edge, AI biotech races where India lags, diaspora facing imported caste stigma. This virtuous cycle invests heavily in institutions and scholarship.
So far, whatever he is asking Hindutva 2.0 must do is exactly where our proposed Hindutva 2.0 stands. And we have already charted a path forward more clearly, I think, with way more discussions and challenges and criticisms and moving forward through those criticisms, changing arguments, etc., stances, through our countless live streams discussing Hindutva 2.0 and libertarianism.
That build genuine civilizational capacity. Elite universities fusing Indian knowledge systems with modern science.
I do not know how this can be achieved. Whatever IKS research is happening, it's still only good for some sort of historical sociology aspect, that, or simply appreciating our past, that yes, do you know we had these great ideas? Yes, knowing we had a great idea is not the same as actually using it to uh, further today's science. I do not see how that linkage can be established. And especially because we had a sudden break in our knowledge production. How will we replace 800, 900 years of knowledge production out of the blue today? What is even the point? Why can't we just acknowledge that our Indian knowledge systems were great and now we need to build and theorize new stuff? We were theorizing great stuff and then we had to stop because of invasions, maybe even internal evil in society, etc. But it did stop. How are you going to formulate anything today based on what Aryabhatta or Chanakya said? Fusing IKS with today's education system, I do not see what even the goal is, other than a great historical sociology class.
Temples freed from state control, civilizational strategy centers, Hindu equivalents of Rand Corp for geopolitics, tech supremacy, cultural resilience. Kashmiri Pandit resettlement demonstrating Hindu state capacity. Constitutional recalibration for fairness and asymmetries promoting minority interests while strangling
All these are pretty much the policy positions we also are in favor of.
Hindu institutions. And invest in scholarship that reimagines India's glorious past from an emic perspective. Suddenly, political currency flips. Parties compete on how do we frame the civilizational vision of making every Hindu globally competitive. Inspire voters to reward visionaries over brokers. The virtuous cycle feeds itself. Success breeds confidence. Confidence attracts talent. Talent creates more success. At the end of the day, you may not actually deliver.
My God, Ashish, there is way more on our side than I believed.
Given the paralytic imperative of a liberal democracy. But you'd have enabled people to succeed and given people hope. That's all they're asking for. Escape the decoy trap. Pivot early. Don't become Congress.
Early is
BJP
that ship
faces
has
a
sailed.
binary. Slide into Hindutva plus caste hybrids and become a decoy. Too compromised for purists, too amateur for Mandal experts. Or lead the resurgence. Congress's fate warns. Nehruvian vision, Mandal flirtation, corruption, incoherence, hollow shell. Pivot now. Own the civilizational future. Don't get stuck in obsolete paradigms in a rapidly changing world being shaped by exponential tech. Beware of the coterie delusion. Power corrupts judgment. 3 terms in, coteries.
Rudvik, I do get the idea. What does it look like? Would it be possible for you to give me an example? Maybe with something that has already been done, or maybe something that you as a guy of science background know that it can be done, etc. Give an example where you reverse engineer an older Hindu knowledge system, fuse it in whatever way possible today, and actually come up with something better today. And could it not have been done without that fusion? It should not be fusion for fusion's sake, because we are spending tax dollars on it, tax money on it. That if we are studying IKS for history, I do not have any problem, obviously.
Form. Chamchas multiply. Consultants push. Caste scheme wins UP slides. Echo chambers drown long-term vision in stupid Excel sheets. Leaders with massive clout hear only yes men. BJP's top must seek skeptics, contrarians, civilizational thinkers who warn. This caste path kills everything you built. Don't let hired flattery destroy historic opportunity. Exponential future demands resurgence, not quotas. Context is brutal. Exponential tech, AI, quantum, biotech, neurotech, space rewards civilizational capacity. China builds fusion reactors. America dominates AI. Singapore hoards global talent. India debating 19th century caste quotas wastes its demographic dividend. Civilizational depth, entrepreneurial fire. BJP holds.
And rest assured, it's not going to happen. Our demographic dividend is going to go to waste. There is no two ways about it. Especially with caste to chhodi do. Conversions, yes, but even just with the ST discourse, we are not going to become Viksit.
Singapore hoards global talent. India debating 19th century caste quotas wastes its demographic dividend. Civilizational depth, entrepreneurial fire. BJP holds unmatched capital, organization, timing. Replace the vicious caste cycle with a virtuous Hindu resurgence. Ambedkarism will destroy you, and Ambedkarism.
Now, what does BJP understand by the phrase Hindu resurgence? By Hindu resurgence, they do understand whatever they think IKS fusion is, and go by research. India was great in 300 BC, and casteism started after British came in, etc. That stuff. BJP needs to move on from it soon.
Will destroy this civilization. Break the Nash equilibrium. Launch Hindutva 2.0.
This was great. Some important points have come in. Does it make science and technology better? Science is all about optimization, efficiency, innovation. What incentive does it have to adopt dharmic principles? Yeah, and that's why it's even harder for me to at all try to answer this, because I'm not from the science background. But as someone from an arts background, I see that there's a lack of clarity about what does IKS fusing with today's science mean, especially when we have had a complete break for 800-900 years. Some people might get angry with the claim of a breakage for 800-900 years, because there were some still good rishis formulating cool things for that entirety of those 900 years, but that obviously became much more sporadic, very minimal and stuff. There was not Takshashila everywhere for those 800-900 years. We definitely devolved into a lot of bullshit instead of true science or proto-science research. The present is like an MMA octagon. Only those martial arts survive which has something to offer. Learning traditional martial arts just for its sake, without its without it is IKS, and its application is similar to this. And yes, again, just like IKS does solve a purpose in terms of the people must find out what their intellectual history is, what their intellectual ancestors came up with. That is 100% necessary, but in the classroom called a history classroom, not in a STEM classroom. That's all I'm saying. And because a lot of research needs to go there as well to find out exactly what all we had discovered. Why shouldn't we find that out? So, in that same way, learning Kalaripayattu for your fitness or for a performance, absolutely great. Lung endurance, completely awesome. You will never stand 5 seconds in front of an MMA fighter. That's all. So, if you want to learn Kalaripayattu as a fitness enthusiast, great. If you want to learn it as a fighter, you are screwed. If you want to learn Kalaripayattu for calling yourself a Kalaripayattu performer, even better. But it's not going to stand in front of today's martial arts. It's a bit perplexing that we have 17 points and they have 178K, given that you have... Yeah, obviously look at his production quality and production value and mine. It's fair. The market is rewarding the right things. Have you seen his video criticizing meritocracy? No, but today he didn't. And I have heard that he has a video criticizing meritocracy, and some people later told me that no, it's actually a video discussing a book which criticizes meritocracy. So I don't know which exactly he did. Did he criticize meritocracy, or was he discussing a book that was criticizing meritocracy? We will absolutely have to check that out now, because you raised a doubt. Because I was sure after somebody told me that he was discussing a book, I thought, okay, he's not criticizing meritocracy. Before that, I used to think that he actually has something against meritocracy. Word limit does not help. Can I email, or is there a way to overcome? Then Rudvik, we will take it up in the next live member interaction stream. Then there you can bring this up. Do remember about this point. We will discuss IKS someday then. Till now, Bengal can think deeply, but a little bit shy to take risks. Yes. MMA fighters are usually good sport. They would let them stand for 5 seconds. I do not say it unfair, just a bit perplexing, since we could up the production on your channel, then we could really launch a pan-Indian CSK. Yes. Wouldn't a Kalaripayattu be beneficial after Mudgar and Gada training, as it would be a specific method to handle specific combat? No. The problem is in the training itself. The way you could have learned Kalaripayattu in order to become a fighter who can actually beat up MMA fighters, that training does not exist today. That training is lost. It was made to be lost. The blame does not lie on Kalaripayattu instructors today. They do not know themselves how to fight an actual person in an actual sparring situation, because they were taught to dance around and fly around on their sticks. Because our the British, I guess, decided that you are not supposed to be martial. Do not be a threat to me. So do not learn Kalaripayattu. Learn it like a dance. So how will Kalaripayattu be used today? It's not a matter of fitness. So it's not like the Mudgard, which makes them stronger. It doesn't teach them fighting skills. It's not going to make them better fighters. It will make them better Kalaripayattu performers and stronger Kalaripayattu performers, not better fighters. That's a bit flawed. Yes, Barbik, I guess you were talking to Ludwig, right? So wait, how does Kalaripayattu exist today just as a performative? Yes, it's a dance form. Any video you see of Kalaripayattu performers beating each other up, you notice that if it's a one versus one fight, one guy is pretending to get beaten up, just like Karate Haya Haya. Or if it's a group fight, you will notice that when one person is, like even in the Hanuman kind video and stuff, when one woman is beating up 5-6 men around her, notice that when she is fighting one man, everyone else is just chilling and moving their sticks around like this. Okay, that's how you know that's not real fighting. Will there be some model states then where Hindutva 2.0 will be implemented first, then others? That should be the goal. Bengal is the most right place for it. Yes, Bengal can show how to run exactly, and administration, because though bitter went through left regime, and especially because Shubhendu can learn from the mistakes that Himanto Yogi made or the challenges they faced. He has the perfect way forward to become the prime minister. RMA checks. Yes, you are absolutely right, and that's why it will not be done in Kalaripayattu. Skandavat. Yes, sword fighting is part of Kalaripayattu, but even that's you can't actually spar with swords. You'll cut yourself, and it won't be even legal. Kalaripayattu is legally enforced dance form that masquerades as a fight form. Could we possibly, with our big brain, recreate what Kalaripayattu as a martial art from its existing dance-like movement? No, Neon. That is the most fascinating aspect to this. That fighting in the end will simply look like fighting. If fighting looks beautiful, it has to be a fake display of fights. Fighting is the same everywhere, more or less. Fighting does not look distinctly different. So moves from Kalaripayattu can be inculcated in MMA. Someone would have to learn both equally, but since most of Kalaripayattu is about dancing around in the air, that's going to be a problem. But who from the Kalaripayattu world is going to do that? Nobody from that world can do it. If you inculcate BJJ, wrestling, Muay Thai, boxing moves into Kalaripayattu, it will completely become MMA. None of the moves from of Kalaripayattu will remain, because none of the existing moves today are anything other than dance forms. Is fighting going to be relevant? What if your enemy comes with modern weapons? What modern weapons? Guns. Yeah, everyone must have guns. How many times are people going to come with a gun? You are talking about forms, and forms do matter. That's why people who have a karate Kyokushin background, they obviously never use their haya in a real MMA fight, but who do come from that background do have better form, better stances. That helps out their joints for the rest of their lives. Just like my second favorite MMA fighter of all time, George St. Pierre. He's a proud Kyokushin guy. He'll obviously never be able to apply any of that in an MMA situation. Tony Ferguson, Wing Chun guy. So yes, for forms, it's great. and that form can come out of any dance form, whether it's actual dance or Kalaripaitto or Kyokushin. So for form, if you learn Kalari, great. You're going to waste your time because you can replace that form by learning Jiu-Jitsu or MMA or Muay Thai really well. If you end up having learned Kalari in your childhood because you were simply taken to a Kalari class by your parents, like GSP, he simply happened to have learned karate in his childhood. Yes, then you'll have a better time when you do enter the MMA gym for the first time when you are 16 and 17 years old. But if you do want to train MMA or Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ or wrestling or Muay Thai, train those. Not something that's going to give you a second-hand benefit. Okay then. Thanks for joining the live stream, guys. It was a great discussion, very fruitful, and kudos to Ashidhar for making such a well thought out video. And he doesn't need to. He has fuck you money. Even then, he's running this channel where he's not making any money, pretty much low views. So good stuff. We can only hope that India keeps producing better minds who do better things. And yes, by the way, tomorrow I'm going to, I'll be on my way to a friend's wedding in Tamil Nadu. And tomorrow, for the first time, I'll set foot in Bengaluru. And my bus for Tamil Nadu leaves at, I'm wondering if I can meet anybody in Bengaluru tomorrow. Wait, I'll tell you all the timings. I'll be at my brother's place who's doing his PhD at ISI Bengaluru. I'll maybe on the way or at my brother's place. Maybe no, that can't happen. Or on the way to the bus stand, etc. Or at the bus stand somewhere, maybe. If any of our viewers lived close by, we can meet up. So my bus leaves from a place called Madiwala, Madiwala, at 10 in the night. And I will reach Bengaluru at, if my flight times are correct, I will reach at 2:15. I'll have some luggage, 3:15. So I'll have about 7 hours. I have a cousin brother, not a sibling. And I'll go to Kodaikanal with another friend after we attend the friend's wedding. Madiwala is Mallu Central of Bengaluru, I see. It's supposed to Barbarika, if Kalari people agree that Kalari does not have to look a certain way, then great. If Kalari becomes MMA, I'll call it MMA or MMA. That's what people like. No problem. I do not have any problem. Okay then. See you all soon, guys. See, you are going to the village of Bengaluru. Yes. Ramzan mein Ram hai, Diwali mein Ali, Bengaluru mein Bengal hai. No, I am Arsenal. I used to be an Arsenal fan. Okay, Skanda, I'll text you tomorrow then. See you guys. Bye-bye. Good night.
কালো তোকে বলে সবাই, আমি দেখি আলো কালো তোকে। কালো তোকে বলে সবাই, আমি দেখি আলো কালো তোকে বলে সবাই, আমি দেখি আলো বিপদে মা তোকে ডাকে সবাই, আমি যেন তোকে রাখি ভালো। বিপদে ভুবন মোহিনী বেশ মা তোর, রূপে মা তুই জগৎ জননী। ভুবন মোহিনী বেশ মা তোর, আধারে খুঁজেছে জ্ঞানহীনে, আধারে খুঁজেছে জ্ঞানহীনে, হৃদয়ে খোঁজেনি আলো মা তোর। কালো তোকে বলে সবাই, আমি দেখি আলো। কালো তোকে বলে সবাই, আমি দেখি আলো।